Hello, my dear patients, your favorite doctor here, Dr. Blake, and today I want to talk to you about what it's like to be a gamer in a third world country, continuing through the infamous teenage years, exploring the sixth and seventh generation of consoles. Last time, we ended up just as my desire for a PS2 was burning like a fever, but did I manage to get the console? Yes, I did. But first I got a Nintendo DS. When it came out, the DS was a novelty here in Play Country, where the general public wasn't really used to Nintendo's quirkiness and revolutionary out-of-the-box ideas. Yet. So the DS wasn't really a console that a lot of people owned, so that rules out any interesting PictoChat story you might have been expecting. The casual audience wasn't really that into portable gaming because of the high prices of both games and the consoles, and a lack of consistent piracy support. If only they knew back then. So most people aimed at getting a home console. If the battle between the PS1 and the N64 was unbalanced, the one between the PS2 and the GameCube was one-sided. It's fair to say that both Sony and Microsoft ruled the market here in Play Country, again with the pirated copies of the games and a huge library to choose from. This time around, there actually were pirated copies of GameCube games. However, they costed 3 times more than a pirated copy of a PS2 or Xbox game. So when decided about getting either a PS2 or a Nintendo GameCube, the choice was pretty quick. Of course, Nintendo had some awesome exclusives, but Sony had all the cool and edgy third-party games everyone couldn't shut up about, as well as some amazing exclusives. I got my PS2 for Christmas back in 2005, but I had to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to get it. One of the perks we had here back in the day, and still have in some places, was the possibility to trade your old console as a form of payment to get another one. I was short on money, and I was missing some to finally get the PS2, so I was forced to give away my PS1 in the store to complete the money. It was heartbreaking, and I never fully recovered from that loss. So anyway, I got my PS2 with a couple of games, most notably Simpsons Hit and Run, Crash to Insanity, and GTA San Andreas. Wait a second! How is it possible that a 12-year-old kid can get an M-rated game? Oh, the humanity! Well, here goes another perk from Play Country for you. The ESRB rating doesn't mean shit to us in here, and that is something that has stuck even to this very day. Kids could easily get into a store and purchase a copy of any GTA game, Manhunt, Resident Evil, hell, even Leisure Suit Larry. Ugh. Store clerks either are not informed or just don't care about the age rating for games. If you have the money, your age doesn't matter. It's your parents' problem now, kid. Such is the way things go in the country of the White Plague. Because of this, the GTA franchise had and still has a huge popularity here, and no other open world games were able to reach the same level of popularity as San Andreas, not even its brother games like Vice City and GTA 3. All the kids in Play Country were happy driving around Los Santos, running over people and killing hookers after bullet in the ass. But alas, not everything can be perfect in the world of pirated copies. Sometimes they just refuse to work at all. Thank God for the permissive return policies the stores used to have. Funnily enough, the games that didn't work were usually pretty rare games that you couldn't find anywhere, and you had to settle for a more common game in the exchange process. The game that traumatized me for life because of this was Jak 2. I bought it around 3 or 4 times, and none of them worked. Of course, it wouldn't be fair to omit the release of the PSP. Back in the day when it was announced, everyone lost their minds, since all the portable consoles before came from Nintendo, and the casual market here in Play Country always favored the most potent console in terms of graphical prowess. At the time, this was the console that was going to dethrone those weak Nintendo portable consoles. And then the PSP released at a ridiculous price here, and very few people actually got it. Only the kids that were filthy rich were able to get the console, and because the games were not easy to find, they quickly went back to their PS2s. Around that time, More and more kids wanted to be a part of the experience, but most were not able to afford a console. But we had a solution. Back in the day, we had what we call internet cafes, which were places where you could go and pay to use a computer for an hour or two. Then these places started to get consoles as well, so you could pay and go there to play for as long as you could afford with pocket money. This became extremely popular as the seventh generation of consoles arrived. Ah, the seventh generation of consoles. Such a wonderful time to be alive. Sony and Microsoft were the clear winners of the previous generations, so you'd think they struck gold again with the new PS3 and Xbox 360, but you'd be wrong. I mean, yes, Microsoft was highly successful with this console, but Sony didn't have the same luck. But what about Nintendo, you ask? Well, they came up with a revolutionary idea. Oh, come on! Yes, Nintendo released the Nintendo Wii as part of the seventh generation of consoles, and it was a total success. Everyone wanted to be a part of the Wii experience for about 5 minutes. The casual market here in Play Country was amazed by motion controls, and Wii Sports was the perfect way to show the things that the Wii could do, but that was pretty much it at the time. Keep in mind that people here always looked for graphical power, one thing that the Wii didn't have, so the Wii was that console that you could play in your weird friend's house for a weekend and then go back to your PS3 or Xbox 360. As you probably guessed already, I was that weird friend with the Wii. After having been with Sony for the previous two generations, I turned cloak and asked for a Nintendo Wii for Christmas 2007, but I got it a few months earlier, just because. Sony had a difficult time during the 7th generation here, since it was very hard to get the thing to play pirated copies of games. Hell, it was also hard just to pirate the games themselves. Meanwhile, the Xbox 360 and the Wii could easily read pirated copies thanks to the chips. Usually in gaming specific stores you get the console with a pre-installed chip that would read the pirated copies of the games, starting from the 6th generation of consoles, since all of them were disc based. But if you got them from an official retailer, you had to take them to one of these stores to get the chip installed, which was what happened to me, and I spent approximately 5 months only being able to use my Wii to play Wii Sports. But Nintendo has always been an avid fighter against piracy, so there were multiple versions of the chip with the Wii. The first game to need an upgrade for the chip was Donkey Kong Country Returns, and there were more upgrades down the line during its lifespan. So considering that, the fact that it didn't have full third-party support for the more graphically demanding games of the generation, the general perception of it being a console for kids and parents, and some of the forced motion control gimmicks in most games, the Wii wasn't an absolute winner here in Play Country and was perceived more like a novelty by the general public. The absolute winner for the 7th generation of consoles here was, without a single doubt, the Xbox 360. It wasn't as expensive as the PS3 and was able to hold its own perfectly in regards to graphics and power, not to mention that its two most popular IPs were highly desirable to both the casual and hardcore market and had excellent third-party support. It was around this time that a lot of third-party accessories came out for the consoles, most notably the instruments due to the rhythm game frenzy that Guitar Hero and Rock Band had started. Of course, not everyone could afford the official guitars and drums to play these games, so you could usually see a lot of other branded accessories that were not as high quality, but functioned relatively well. Being a doctor, I know that music is good to calm my humors, so I jumped right into the wagon and got my off-brand guitar, and spent a crazy amount of time playing Guitar Hero and Rock Band myself. But it was something you didn't see regularly, given the price of the accessories and that rock isn't really the preferred music genre here in Play Country. But the musical peripherals weren't the only third-party accessories for the consoles. Oh no, the Wii in particular had a crazy amount of off-brand accessories, from steering wheels to tennis rackets to fishing rods, all the way to gun accessories. And to be honest, most of them worked pretty well, even if they looked ugly as sin. Right around the middle of that console generation, something magical happened. The advances in portable piracy were advancing really well, and they managed to create these cartridges for the Nintendo DS called the R4, which, depending on the storage capacity, you could basically get the entire DS game catalog in a single cartridge, at the palm of your hand. Needless to say, the DS became really popular with this new way to get the games, but at that time, it was already time for a new console, which was just around the corner. the Nintendo 3DS. By this time, I had already missed some awesome games because of my console choice, but I was still having the time of my life with my Wii, until something truly terrible happened. Stay tuned for the third and final part of this retrospective, where I'll discuss how my gaming passion died and re-sparked as we approach the 8th generation of consoles. Until then, remember, one game a day keeps the plague doctor away. See ya!